I'm keeping the shades on. So many windows that are open. Well, and it looks like
I'm
Tyler's
throwing it
got
out there that at least for Facebook, what we're saying is showing up in the auto words at the bottom.
the auto words.
Yeah, like
Transcription, maybe?
the but you can't hear the you're looking at a screen. Oh my god, words.
I don't know, but your
Closed
V-neck is really
captioning.
your V-neck is killing it, Tyler. Your V-neck's killing it.
I'm
Like you,
layered. It's not even
you,
a V-neck.
you're just showing this like some
Yeah.
of this. Let me just see
Mike,
if I can.
Mark, we're getting layers. We're getting slapback. I could.
What, you were echoing?
Yeah, so they can hear all of this.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
on
very
audio.
funny.
We're getting layers. We're going in.
I'm telling you, the people
Because
in the
that,
chat are
that's what I'm
saying
saying.
they can hear us.
Where
That's
they're
fun.
listening to us right now. They're
That's
loving
really
it. They think this
it's
is some of the.
Everyone else can hear us except for Mark.
They're saying we're in ninja mode.
oh. Well, there's
All right,
Harrison.
here we go. Yeah.
We are currently having technical
They're
issues.
aware. They're in the chat. They're awesome in the chat.
Yeah, yeah, and Mark keeps talking in our ears, and nobody else can hear Mark, and it's so distracting. It is so distracting.
And I also think Mark doesn't hear us.
I think he hears us
No,
now.
he doesn't. He did, though.
That's probably right. So, oh, well, follow us. Here we are in the world. We are now out in the world again.
Now, we
All
have
right.
somebody new here that we have to introduce.
It's true.
Um,
It's me.
it's you. It's him. I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. You know
Hi.
what? I'll take my glasses off, guys. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you.
I apologize.
I'm Randall's son, Harrison, and I'm going to be hopefully keeping us on track, mainly at Isaac for that one, so that we can get through this live stream. in an organized manner. Sorry,
But
Isaac. I know I hurt your
there's
feelings easily.
Oh
there's
yeah, my
actually a
feelings are
little
very
more
easy.
introduction than that. Like you're actually helping us with more than just the live stream, right? Which we'll
It's
introduce later.
true. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm hopefully also bringing some sort of academic copywriting experience to the book that we're developing. And that's one of the things that we're going to discuss today because I know you've been putting a lot of work into it, Randall, with the writing and development process that you're so good at. But yeah, we can get right into it if you guys want. So first of all, we have a project status update. Oh, and thank you very much for attending this live stream, all backers and viewers, regardless. So, where does the project stand today? What are some key accomplishments since the last time you guys updated? And Isaac, if you just want to go over a little teaser of your store and an update on your toy development process.
Well, it's yeah, it's a little bit further than the store, I guess now. The update actually is on the factory side, but I'm not sure if Mark got. I sent a picture to Mark earlier of the factory, but I don't know if he actually got that. So
You can put it
basically,
up.
yeah, I don't think he got it though. I think I sent it to him when he was having technical issues. So basically, yeah, it's outside of this Kickstarter itself, we've been developing a toy factory for the past like 6 years, or at least the capacity to produce injection molded plastic toys domestically. So obviously, this project was a big catalyst or motivator to actually take that whole concept we've been building for a while and rocket it out into the world. So we actually only this week started moving into a new warehouse space, which is super exciting because we're having to rebuild a lot of it, but it's in a really cool old military school building. So we've got 5,000 square feet already, and we're going to hopefully build this machine up and go even bigger than that. So
I
we've
will
got,
jump in and say a big part of the Kickstarter was making
yes,
it possible for us to be able to develop, specifically you, to develop the technology and the production capacity to create your own toys to fulfill the tiers
exactly.
rather than
Yeah,
go
exactly.
offshore to China and to do all the usual plastic tomfoolery. There's the photo right there.
Oh, nice. Are we? Is it which? Oh, yeah, I think that. Yeah, okay. Maybe I'm just looking at the wrong thing. This is the right one I'm supposed to be watching. It's Mark Speed. There we go. Yeah, that's the. Yeah, that's. It looks a little rough right now. Keeping in mind this building was built in 1952 as a school of radar, which was a top secret military base. So thousands of Canadians and Americans actually went through that school post-war on developing radar, which protects us even to this day. This building, though, was left derelict for a lot of years, as you can see, and gutted and emptied. So this is just one half of that wing that we're dealing with right there. This is a picture today. So we're going to paint that, and it's going to look pretty nice next week. So the reason that we're actually there also is the fact that we brought in a big injection mold machine. I'm not sure if Mark has that photo that we brought in for the city. And that's going to give us the capacity to actually produce the toys here. And that requires three-phase power, which we didn't want to put in our own building. So we found this building which actually has it already in there. So that was handy. So yeah, pardon me. Yeah, it's pretty exciting because we want to build, like Rand said, we want to build toys beyond just the things we're delivering for the Kickstarter. So it's pretty rad.
Yeah, and you guys did a live stream, not yesterday, but the day prior. And could you just maybe go over what you covered in that one, Isaac, when you are done coughing?
Yeah, I muted myself for that cough. Sorry, and of course I'm like, I don't have any water with me. We the other day I did a little live stream on the Instagram because I had them here. Because we are still getting in the modified figures, which are 3D printing and stuff, and testing. Well, I got to put it in front of me so it's not there. So it's not blurred. So this is the I guess we call them the modern figures. I'm more inclined to call them like Kenner style now. But yeah, these are actually articulated. Whoop, I got to hold them right in front of me. There we go. And so this I'll actually pull this one apart so you can actually have everything falling all over the place. But
You're blurred. Your background's
yeah,
blurred, so
you know,
it's blurred. Yeah.
I'm just gonna unblur my background, which will help the placement so to think about where I'm putting my hands. There we go. This is my basement. It's really boring. So yeah, basically the ability to there's kind of cyborg Peter, isn't that crazy?
You know, the scary part is that's what he looks like. Like he looks
He's
like
like
that.
he's
Yeah.
like that toy of the Terminator. So that's the idea, is that you have, all with both the articulate. Whoops, there goes his head. That was disturbing, wasn't it? So with the both articulated styles, both the retro style and the modern style, same idea. You're basically taking these slot joints here, these disc joints, and once they're positioned in there, the front and the back half of the figure, compress it all together, and then move it over here. And then now you actually have articulation that works. So that's the same idea for the retro style, and you can actually now see the sort of the size difference between the two. So yeah, so they've got these both tested now for articulation. So we're going to take these, both these, and start producing tooling, or the molds, the aluminum molds that actually produce all of these. Which for each and every one of these, for those unfamiliar with injection molding processes, you have to do a big metal mold with this detail in it for each part, or each element of the figure, and you can't do the whole thing at once. So you end up with 1, 2, 3, 4 tools, as we call them, to actually produce this figure, plus the accessory tool. And every time you change that out of a machine, it takes a lot of time, and those tools are really, really expensive to build. So that's the process we've been developing in the last several years, as a way to actually do that domestically, and then thus be able to make only 1 or 2,000 figures or toys, rather than having to go overseas and getting 10,000 units or something like that.
And all the other
Yeah, and
negatives
so
that come with that. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, here.
sorry, I was just gonna say, are you planning on doing more of these streams in the future, kind of like you did the other day?
Yeah, exactly. We basically want to do as much as we can in terms of keeping people in the loop. The cool thing about that space that Mark put up on the live stream, on the stream there, is that it'll also have a space that we'll have a broadcast sort of space out of there, so we can actually be constantly doing updates and live streams of a little set in there, and actually show off what we're developing and show the process as we go. So
And the
we want to
transparency to the process so that people know that
100%. I was going to exactly say that. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to really show exactly what is happening while we're doing it, so that people know, yeah, A, that it's happening, and B, it's kind of fun. It is kind of behind the scenes. I mean, if people are interested in that kind of how it works, how it's made kind of stuff, we're learning a lot as we go. Domestically manufacturing toys is not something that really happens an awful lot, not like this anyway. So we're having to reinvent the wheel a lot. And as we do that, we can kind of bring everybody along for the ride. So.
Yeah, and so if anyone wants to have specific questions about the figures, would maybe going into those solo streams be the avenue for doing that?
Sure, yeah, we'll probably do lots of both those solo streams on Instagram to keep everybody, or on Instagram and Facebook to keep everybody up to date, but also these group ones are fun too, because we can come back and revisit a lot of it.
Yeah, and so also recently, just to move away from that, there's been some buzz about the 35th anniversary celebration of Turtles for Paramount, and I was just wondering, Randall, if you had anything about how that news may impact the Turtle doc going forwards.
So there's some kind of action underway to celebrate the 90 movie. I know different groups are involved, and I don't know exactly. Isaac, have you heard anything coming out of Paramount's social media around it? Because we know that, and I don't think I can say too much, but there was a group that wasn't affiliated with Paramount that wanted to do something, and they reached out and asked us if we were interested in being involved in some capacity, but I never heard back. So I
Did
know
they?
that
That wasn't that organization. I don't think had anything to do with this specific release, though.
no, but it was the only anniversary thing that I knew that was happening. The 35th
Yeah.
is different from the 40th, obviously. So
Mhm.
this idea that something is underway at Paramount is not anything that anyone has shared with us. And there's nothing at Paramount that makes sense yet because they got sold, right? Like
Yeah.
Paramount was taken over by the
Well,
Skydance company. And
well,
so there was a lot of
keeping
stuff
him.
that was
Well,
held.
yeah, sorry, keeping in mind, Brand, I believe, and I'm not exactly sure if this is how it works, is I know that Viacom owns everything in terms of the Turtles. I don't know this for sure. Maybe Rand, you know this. Um, it the Turtles 1990 movie was released by New Line, which
Yeah.
was that catalog was bought by Warner Brothers. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that
And
that's not coming out through Paramount.
and that's why the stuff that's going on at Paramount is uncertain, and that's probably what's happening. Like, remember, they were buying separate pieces of the franchise, and I know the fans know this. Fans of franchises know, like, Chuck Lorre had the rights to the song from the old animated series, and there are different pieces in different places. So I know one thing about where Paramount's focus is right now. It's Last Ronin, and that's quite a ways out. The last information that we got about anything to do with Paramount, and by the way, you guys who backed us know there's still some chance that some version of this movie ends up somewhere, right? It's possible. I mean, we're never going to stop trying, but the last thing we heard was it was quite a ways off, and they weren't thinking about the franchise right now. And that makes sense when you think about how many people were fired. I believe
Yeah,
it was 7,000, unless I'm mixing up Disney and Paramount, but many people were fired, and lots of things are changing. And it's just a time when in the industry, crazy enough, some of the feedback we were getting on other projects was that people were waiting for the election before the industry could resume, like that they weren't making deals even. So
yep,
just
yep.
so much
I can see
business
that.
weirdness.
Yeah,
So
I can
much
see that.
business weirdness involved. It's not about the entertainment industry right now. It's about stocks and stock prices and shares and stuff. But they do need to come back to the franchises, and they need to think about those events. So to answer your question, we don't know exactly what's brewing, but we hope something is brewing. And that idea of anniversary stuff is in the atmosphere, so they may react to it. And fans can always help that kind of energy by reaching out, which tends to happen when anniversaries are coming.
Yeah, so in
Yeah, and that,
terms of the actual, sorry, Isaac, did you have a point?
no, I was just going to jump on that. To swing back to this 35th anniversary and what is known and not known to all of this. We probably know less if not I mean, I actually poked around ahead of this and sort of asked around to see if anybody knew or they've heard anything. Most people actually hadn't even heard about it at all. I think sort of the speculation around it is just the fact that um, one or two individuals had posted some Instagram photos of interviews being shot and stuff like that. So it is interesting to think what could be coming out associated with that, but we have no idea.
And that's even a different group yet from the ones that
Yeah,
reached out to us. So
yeah, which is very different. Yeah, yeah. So this whole idea of there being finally being a Blu-ray, a 4K Blu-ray of the first 1990 film is interesting because yeah, we have released a lot of the behind the scenes and the elements of it, and as far as we know, there really isn't anything else, but there could be, theoretically locked in some vault somewhere. So maybe they're actually getting some of that out. I don't know. But yes, to jump on to even some of the questions, I think that they popped up a couple times. I don't have the thing on
I was
there.
gonna say I got one
Yeah.
to jump on that right there.
Yeah.
We got KFXG is asking if there's full unedited deleted scenes on the bonus features for the 1990 movie.
Yeah, so that was one of the stretch goals we actually reached with regards to bringing in Steve Barron on doing that. We haven't recorded that just yet because he's just wrapping up another project. I was talking to him the other day about it. So he once he's done on this specific shoot, we're gonna sit down and go through all of the dailies that we have, which is maybe 50% of the film, and dig through that with Barron and do like a commentary. So yeah, it'll be relatively unedited, other than the fact that we're commenting on it. So it's sort of like a screen within screen thing.
Yeah, so in terms of the actual Kickstarter itself and the BackerKit timeline, I was wondering if Tyler, you'd like to hop in, or maybe someone else who knows more related to the BackerKit being available until at least April is the current plan.
Yeah, so on that, thank you so much, everybody, for all the patience you've had with us getting that sorted. The plan is to have the backer kit open till at least April. We're gonna have a better idea of specific timelines once the guys have a better idea of how long it's gonna take to make a bunch of figures and stuff. So we know it's going to be open until April, and by then, well, by February or so, I know we're hoping to have like this is going to be the exact date. We're hoping to have a much more solidified timeline soon. And in the meantime, there's plenty of time for the BackerKit. There's plenty of time for folks to upgrade, to tell their friends, to keep spreading the word, and all that would be awesome.
Yeah, and if someone hasn't received a BackerKit email, you suggested to message us through Kickstarter directly. And
Yes,
do you want to
that's good.
comment on that?
Yeah, thank you for running. Yeah, so basically, commenting on Kickstarter and stuff like that lets us know there's a problem, but Kickstarter doesn't like us emailing you just randomly. We don't want to get caught in email there. So if you can message us on Kickstarter first saying there's a problem, that allows us to get into the nitty-gritty of your specific issue without sharing a bunch of information publicly. If we're just sending you like a direct link for it, we can't show that publicly because then whoever clicks on it first has access to your stuff and they could change your address or anything. So the short version is, if you still haven't heard from us, you can't get it sorted, send a message to the Definitive Film Kickstarter. It might take a couple of days because we try to batch them because it doesn't. If we're sitting answering questions all the time and checking all the time, that's time not spent working. So we check at least once a week and try to batch through everything. So if it takes a few days, patience is awesome, and we're going to make sure we get to all of it.
And there's BackerKit gremlins going on as well as
For
tech gremlins with Zoom. So
Yes. I mean, there's a couple of people who might be in the chat or whatever. I know I've talked to people who are still waiting on a specific response for me. We're working on stuff. There's been a couple of oddities that happened, and that's the nature of the beast.
Thanks, Tyler. Yeah, so getting back to our actual content that we're going to be putting out, we mentioned how the book has got some updates recently, or our process with the book.
Mhm.
Randall, I know you specifically have been working on it with me, and
Mhm.
we've also come to the conclusion that it would be good to maybe open a bit of the book up to influencers and Turtle fans, and maybe have some sort of fan commentary implemented within that book. Do you want to speak about that?
Yeah, so Harrison came in and I prepped him on some of the plans that we had. And basically, how the book was working was it's going to sit beside the movie and it'll be, in effect, the movie. And then Isaac will be curating material for the part of the book that everybody wants to see, which is to say, you braille your eyes over developmental material and photographs and chunks, you know,
We're bringing in some new stuff. Actually, there's some new stuff that I haven't seen before, which is exciting.
new stuff coming in. And you had got some stuff from Steve Barron, I think, too, that was new, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
that's what I'm alluding to. Yeah.
Ah, so what I did was I took the kind of the run of the documentary and turned it into a set of chapters based on some material that Isaac sent me from his initial go over. And I created 13 chapters. And I won't bore you by listing all 13 chapters, but I've gone into each of the 13 chapters. I'm looking at them right now, and I've started spining them out. The bulk of the book, according to the smartest version of how you turn a documentary into a book, is to do Q&As in what I would call, because I'm old, the Playboy style, which is to say a Q&A that's only lightly edited for flow and clarity. If you heard us doing these interviews, there's a lot of chit chat that goes on, and cutting that out has been a grind. But you basically take the transcript and you turn it into a Q&A. And the Q&A is from Isaac's pre-selects, and some of those will change. It's possible that some of the pre-selects will be manipulated, and we might say, you know what, we don't have quite enough of Kevin here, so Isaac will go and grab another pre-select and we'll turn it into a transcript, and then I'll turn that into a Q&A. So that's a very lengthy process, but then Harrison has come up with some ideas, which he could comment on, or you'll find out as we go. But basically, can we reach out to different people in the community who some have contributed to things turtle related in the past? So might call them pro fans or fans pro. So it's possible that we could have places in the book where we would have people kind of comment to their expertise, or we have some fan commentary to give people some sort of more personal side to this, because that's one of the things that you miss a little bit when you take the doc and turn it into uh, the book, you might see some things that have been repeated so many times, and we want some new stuff. So that's how we can do that, is to go for the personal. And that includes our story as well. So we're including some of our own story in that, which Harrison quite rightly pointed out when he and I were talking about it. He said it's a calculated risk that people will think, who cares about you guys? We want turtle talk. So we're just trying to figure out the balance between those things. And obviously, Harrison being younger and more tied into the culture of your average consumer right now can help us not make it look like something that would have come out like when Isaac was a boy in the 50s.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot actually, guys. Mark actually messaged me a few minutes ago and pointed out I forgot a key kind of sneak peek that we can show because up until now we've been showing. Sorry to jump off the book for a second, but we've been showing
Uh-huh.
this guy as is, which is the snot guy in this sort of pose based on the concept art. But we always knew that we would be pulling him out of that and turning him into the sort of the retro playmate style, like we've been doing with the Kevin and Peters. And we actually got an update for the first time today of some of the process. It's not done. There's actually a lot more cool detail to go into him. But again, it's this fine balance of finding a way to bring in that funky additive like accessory elements to the sculpts. It's not accessory, but it's like there's those fun details. Like for instance, in this version of it, he's got like bullet belts. You can't really see it very well. Bullet belts, but they're just bullets on this initial sculpt. So we're like, well, what if we added other fun things? So we're working with an awesome team of designers and sculptors who are helping take the Steve Varner master sculpts, and we're kind of manipulating them. So like because he's a snot guy, ratting as one of our guys, Hans, who's awesome. He suggested a whole series of things we could have on his belts, and one of them was like a Kleenex box, which I think is genius.
Yeah.
And we updated a lot of the fun details. So Mark, if you want to throw that up there, this is So this is the first time we're seeing sort of it's not completely done yet. There will be hoses that go from the gun up to his nose, but this is getting it into that Playmates front forward stocky, weird proportions. The backpack will be a lot bigger, but we've added a ton of fun detail in the backpack. This is all new sculpt additions by DeFoot, who's a great sculptor who's working with Varner's stuff and pushing it even further. The backpack will be a little bit bigger. I think we're going to push it the size a bit. Again, the belt has only just been roughed in there. We're going to add those fun accessories to the belt. But yeah, like having snot and goo dripping off everything, and really leaning into what they may have done with a character like this. Considering that they were really working with that gross out humor, and it's sort of like it really does feel a lot like this character does feel a lot like what ended up coming out with, like somebody else pointing that the other day, came out with the Toxic Crusaders line with like the big nose dude and all the fun, ridiculous, gross out humor. So anyway, that's just a little sneak peek of what he will look like. It'll be more elaborate once you see the hoses connected to his nose and to his backpack and all that fun stuff.
Isaac, there's a question about the snot guy. The question is the retooled Punk Commander going to be an add-on?
No, it's not an add-on. It's
a replacement.
It is no, it's not a replacement. This is the Punked Out Commando was I've said it all the way through. The one that we've been showing was a process piece. We never
That's what I mean. That was developmental. This one supplants the next one.
Yeah, this is the plan. This is process. So the difficult thing with a Kickstarter in general is timing and lining it up with, especially when we're making product. And sometimes we have very much learned in this particular one is that sometimes it's not that advantageous to be showing process because people start expecting that's what I'm getting. This is the thing that I'm getting. Like for instance, the modern, what we call now the modern ones. This was what we were going to do. This was, essentially what the toys were going to all look like. And then as we developed it, and we're like, wait a minute, we're going to keep pushing this to look a lot more like that Playmate style. then people went, well, wait a minute, what happened to the one you showed us
Yeah.
already? Why don't you have that? So then that prompted us to take that and add it as an option to go, okay, we can do both the modern version and the retro style version. So this is the difficult thing, as I'm sure there will be a certain percentage of people that say, wait a minute, what happened to the sculpt of this shotgun guy as we've been showing it? But the truth is, it's always been was going to be a process. Now, that's not to say that we couldn't, if there was enough interest there, could we do, really, really limited statues of that original, this original concept sculpt? Absolutely. We could totally do one-offs of those, but we can't put those into production because that's one too many figures to add a lot of tooling for. So yeah, there's a number of that's the concept one we've been working with the whole time. So yeah,
I was just going
but
to hit I was going to hit another question out of that. Are you going to keep going?
no, I was just going to say, yeah, that basically just demonstrates, that doesn't even look really like the Playmates style. It's not really what Playmates would have done as an end figure. It was just sculpted, straight up from as a study, right from the actual concept art. Go ahead, Mark Rand. Go ahead.
Mark Rand says, some
Mark
people
Rand.
said that we are part of TMNT history now. That's very kind of Turtle Nexus to say that. And Megas88 says, you guys are making a documentary longer than Lord of the Rings Extended Edition. Who cares about your opinions and stories? I do. So we have one person that wants to hear about what we did. And you wrote a bunch of stuff about that to yourself, right, Isaac? Like you kept a journal at one point, you told me, with some
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
stories.
yeah. Some of our different things. Yeah, and I've tried to actually over the years even combine it
Yeah.
down into like the truth is, it always sounds, and maybe it's the Canadian modestness in us that it
Mhm.
always sounds silly to say, we could write a book about ourselves, but
Well,
like no
the
joke,
thing is,
like we really could, and it would be interesting stuff. I mean, we've done not just this project, but like our collective experiences are bizarre. Like even if you extended it out into the toy manufacturing we're talking about, or the toy store, and the stages even or the steps I've taken even within that to go, let's take now two derelict, old buildings and rebuild them, or the train station that you guys own that has, our film studio in it. There's a whole story. There's all this sort of like, who does it like that?
well,
Nobody does this. This is
for those
insane.
for those of you who, the few, the proud, the strong who know about this, um, making these, it's an enormous process. And the people that I know in the film community, particularly in Los Angeles, they say that I should write a book about being a magnificent failure because the story is this documentary is literally like falling backwards, and instead of hitting your head you land in a pool, but the pool is heated, and you're on a floaty, and someone put a drink there. Like it's just a set of things that shouldn't be the way that it is, and that is true. Like none of the stuff that has happened makes any sense, and so when you start to explain to people, and then when he called, he told me that I had to learn about the owls because the owls had the information. And you might say, what does this mean? This means that there was a mystical guy who had information that we needed, and I had to do a quiz and prove my
Worthiness.
something, my mystic understanding,
They are
which I
Why
not
haven't
to be
I
did.
heard this
seen.
story?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are
You have
not
heard
to
it,
be
haven't you?
seen. Yeah.
I don't remember at
There's
this point.
It involved the Bohemian Grove and the son of one of the two guys that used to star in Laugh-In, Rowan and Martin. And it involved the comedian Gallagher and the surfer Gary Proper. And it went down a road that it just seems like there's no way it's true. Let's just say this. Here's one tiny tidbit. When I called a phone number, the guy who answered said, nobody has this number. And I said, well, I was given this number. And he said, who gave you this number? And when I said who gave him the number, he said, he doesn't know my number. And I didn't, do you remember, Isaac? It was on a piece of paper and we thought it came from someone. So I
yeah,
called the number on
yeah.
the piece of paper
You
and he's
had a
saying
piece of
nobody,
paper that had a number on it that you didn't know where the number came from, and it
and
was.
nobody, yeah. And it was this guy. And he's like, how did you get this number?
And then
Well, I
there
was
was
given,
also the time that we bought hand soap instead of hand sanitizer at Walmart.
that was Conan.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry, I don't want to cut you guys off from your
please
great
do.
story,
Please do.
but there was
Please
a
cut us
question that we
off.
received earlier, and it was whether or not we're going to have TMNT video games featured in the doc, and whether or not we have any potential interviewers or interviewees that we asked about video games. Isaac, you might be able to speak to this because I know
That's
you know this.
that's a tough one here because I mean, the truth is that these video games are well, a lot of video games, especially at that time, pretty much all of them are basically developed in Asia. So they're all developed in Japan mostly,
It's such a hard nut to
and
crack,
it
this
is a
particular.
really tough,
Yeah.
to go and find the, like, I'd love to, if people know the original designers of, the first Ninja Turtles Nintendo game, like the hardest game in history. Now, that said, there are Canadian video game designing companies that are not that far from us that have done some of the latest ones, very
Smaller
popular.
versions of the game.
Exactly, the more modern
Yeah.
versions. And so it is our intention to continue to grab the people who were behind that. If nothing else, if we are unable to, say, track down the original Japanese designers and get ourselves to Japan, or do a Zoom or something, then we will continue to bring in either video game experts or historians or those type of things, and we can comment on and dig into the video game elements of Turtles for sure. Because it's one thing that we weren't able to cover during Turtle Power 1 really well, for that exact reason, is that it's pretty expensive to fly to Japan. We did another doc where we flew to Japan and shot a bunch of stuff, and it's a very difficult world to crack.
I will also say that this is something that maybe you don't know, but it's very difficult to interview Japanese game developers because the culture does not want people to brag about their things that they've done, their accomplishments in effect. And also, and again, I'm an old white guy talking about Japanese culture, so I'm only telling you what happened when we were shooting over there to do the Shenmue documentary. But you would find that the men didn't want to speculate. They would answer a question. If they didn't know, they didn't want to say they didn't know. And if they did know, they didn't want to sound sure of themselves. And if they were in America or in Canada or other places, we've interviewed hundreds of people. Isaac knows I have little tricks where I make people think and I make them go, "Oh yeah, I've never thought about that." And then they start to speculate. And when they speculate, you get a good answer. The guys we interviewed in Japan did not want to speculate. They
And
wanted to say the answer.
we also don't know how to speak Japanese, so you're working through a translator, which is a
Well,
slow, arduous process.
but to be fair, your brother did say that after even just a couple days, he was really feeling the culture. He was really starting to feel one with the. That's a joke.
That's okay.
That's a joke that is real. We will not go to Japan. We know how it works for TMNT. The third one is always Japan is where you get in trouble.
Yeah.
That's a comment from Detox Hip Hop. Do not go to Japan for the third part. We all know how that goes for TMNT. Yes, I couldn't ride a horse forward, let alone backward, so I can't even start. I can't even start.
Oh man, it's also, I mean, the truth is, you also get into those scenarios where it's like, why did you make that hard game so hard? And they're like, we didn't mean to. Like, they're just designing
Yeah.
games, man. They're just
Well,
cranking
yeah,
them
and
out.
it's the reality is the people that you want to comment on video games are people who are video game people who want to talk about video games, like a retro
Yeah,
gamer who really has a lot to say. When you talk to the developers, you find that they really don't have as much as you want them to have. That's the
exactly.
truth that
Yeah,
we
exactly.
found anyway.
And I mean, and I mean, that's why some of these more modern games that we can maybe dig into here, which are a lot more accessible, they actually become more interesting to dig into because of the fact that these are fans making games. So they come in from this perspective where they're looking at the history of the brand, the history of other video games in the brand, and then
Yeah,
applying that thinking to what they're doing. Whereas if you went and talked to the original designers, they're like, we were handed an IP, it had 4 turtles, and we had to make them fight stuff.
yeah.
And there was coding involved. And that's it.
But there is one thing I will say for people who like that kind of process. I'm going back through all the Nickelodeon transcripts, and they were Turtle fans. So they talked about the franchise, right? Like they were fans
Yeah,
when they were younger. Like when you went to Bardell or when we talked to those kids at Burbank, like they were Turtle fans young, and then they had a lot to say. But when the really hard Turtle games came out, they weren't turtle fans. Like
Exactly.
turtles hadn't penetrated Asia quite the same way. Anyway, carry on. We're sinking into some details here.
I think there's some comments we're missing and questions we're missing on the Facebook live stream.
Yeah,
But
that's
I've got
and
them. I got them queued up.
Tyler's on it.
Tyler,
I mean, the questions there have all been: is the BackerKit open?
well,
Which is like, yes, I sent the
truth
link.
is, we need to get that link out there. I mean, I'll be honest, guys. I don't know what link I'm sending people.
It's
He's got you.
It's the
Yeah.
link. I've shared it a few times. We got all over the place.
Yeah.
I do want to share from the person from Facebook. It's from I apologize if I butcher this, but Toka Oroku, who says, I was one of the few people that saw the Doc 2 sneak peek at SDCC 2017 or something like that.
We know who it is. We
Yeah,
know
we
who
know,
it is.
You know who this is.
Yeah, we know him.
Yeah. So they've been
He's a hardcore turtle fan, and he has a lot of he wants to be part of the scene, and he is part of the scene. Yeah, he is.
And he's right though. He's picking up on some of the good stuff in there because it is a we have, you know, the truth is when Toka, you know, and this is a shout out to Toka because he's been following us, you know, for a long time, and he's an old friend of ours from this entire this process. I mean, 15 years working on this, and it's funny when you look at it, like, yeah, 2017, 2012, you know, we've been teasing or showing bits and pieces of this for so long, and so we're fine. It's pretty exciting to finally be able to get it out, push it out.
Yeah, so on that note, do you guys want to just go into full open Q&A to end it off, or what do you guys feel like?
Yeah, if anybody has any other specific questions about the campaign, the book, the toys, everything that we've missed, I don't know. Hopefully, we haven't missed things as they fly by. I know there was some that was further up, but yeah, throw them out in the last few minutes here while we wrap things up.
Evil Hobbit asks, could the retooled Punk Commander retooled be an add-on, which we had said, then followed up with, would we be able to get both versions of the Punk Commander?
Well, not this is exactly what we were saying earlier. The concern becomes that we've shown a version of it, and then people go, oh, I really like that version. The truth is that one is unproducible as it is in terms of an articulated figure. Potentially we could look at maybe we'll put out like a poll or something like that and look at having it as a standalone, either resin cast or 3D print, but it'll be in addition, like it'll be something you could as an add-on that you could get.
So to put a button on that, would the answer be basically, we're gonna see what we can do? If it happens, it would be an add-on and would be very limited.
Well, this is what I was going to say, that we're dealing with like scaling stuff is tricky. And so it's all about what can you produce, the media that Isaac can get in, the tooling that has to be made to develop it. Like eventually, this is the reality of it. You don't want Isaac to have to like scrimshaw, carve it, whittle this thing. And plus you shouldn't be carving in whalebone anymore. That is not acceptable. But you should not imagine that it's easy for Isaac to figure out how to get one going. And so not that we can't do it, but if there's enough interest, if there's enough heat, if the numbers are right, then that makes it tenable.
And that's why, you know, and I know that during the campaign and even now with the BackerKit, there was a lot of you know, comments and concerns regarding the price point of the figures. They were always intended on being a limited series collectible that is helping build a process that allows these things to be done. Because as you pointed out, like even adding the option to have the modern and retro style of Kevin and Peter is essentially, like, I'll just put it plainly, is an added expense on us that we couldn't really recoup, because you're literally doubling your tooling. And again, manufacturing is all based around the upfront cost of tooling, which is why, you know, sure, you know, other established toy companies can go out there and do figures at low cost, and they're Walmart because they're done overseas. They have to minimum do 5,000 to 10,000 units, and that can recoup costs at a different scale. So this is pretty insane what we're doing.
Isaac, do you want to read Mark's all caps?
Wow, there's so many all caps of these guys.
He's really hammering. What Isaac could do is based on how much interest there is. So as long as there's fan interest, if you guys want something and there's enough interest and there's enough of a drive towards it, it can be done. It's just, you know,
Yeah,
there has to
exactly.
be.
And really, like, and in Mark's point, he's messaging us for people who can't see that I'm reading off screen. He's messaging us in all caps, not because he's mad, but so it's easier for us to read. That's what he's saying.
But it is not
It's all
easier for me to
I
read.
am like, I am convinced he's upset. Like, I think
Mhm.
that he's mad and he's yelling. But like, he's pointing out, like, this is to reiterate, this is the fans and the Kickstarter. This is you guys helping us create capacity and build something. We're building a process. We're building a way to manufacture toys domestically in North America. It's not just, hey, get your hands on this figure for yourself, which is the end goal for the backer. Yeah, that's great that you guys that we want to provide you with that reward. But it's also, you guys are helping us create a scenario where a toy company can exist and we can actually make stuff here again. And that means if that all works, then we can turn around and make other things faster and other things more efficiently and other things, for Turtle fans. Like maybe we could get like the rest of the Mirage crew, sculpted up and put in here. Idea. So maybe, things that we can do that like that down the road. And then, and this really is a 6-year journey for myself within the group of developing a toy company, product ownership, product design, beyond just making custom stuff like this. So this is a much bigger machine that we're able to bring in and apply to the Turtles, which is a lot of fun. And so we're excited that this opportunity has really helped put the gas pedal on to build this capacity and build this company. And it is crazy. It's a crazy dream. It's just, yeah.
The way you're wording it is actually reversed. Like, the thing is, you're building this thing so you can give the fans what they want.
Yeah.
That's the funniest part.
Exactly. And yet it's like, just like the docs themselves, like just like we're 3 guys from very rural backwater country little towns that went off and made a documentary on the biggest pop culture brand in history and sold it to Paramount. I'm also defiantly saying to the world, yeah, you know what, I know that manufacturing is done a certain way for a reason. I get it. If I was on Lion's Den, they'd tell me to go take it overseas and forget it, because that's where you're going to maximize profit and just do this. And that's not my dream here. My dream is to build something that we can remember how to make things here.
If there is one thing that we have learned all these years, it is that we do not maximize profit. 100% true.
Yeah, exactly.
We do not maximize profit.
We're just basically trying to make it so the capacity we can make something. So, yeah.
A hard shift and change. Yeah, Elias is getting a lot of love in the chat, which feels fantastic. But I want to make sure we get to the questions. Hard shift from that was the question of, do we have a rough time frame for when people can expect to see the first rough cut?
Well, Harrison has had a rough cut sent to him that has 3 episodes not finished.
I thought there was
1 and
4
2
episodes.
are pretty close.
No, 3.
I think there's 3.
Yeah, you're right.
Don't do that to me right now.
Didn't you get the 4th one? Yeah, no, there is a much longer.
Oh boy.
There's a long version of it. There's a long version of this cut. Harrison, you've seen it, yeah?
Yeah, I watched it. It was good.
I think
that I didn't know anything, and now I do.
Yeah, just so that people know too, we have Ian Cherry has a question about variant comics. I just want to hit that really quick. It was something that we tried to do. Why does Tyler make that face?
I'm just thinking answer the question we were on was all.
Oh yeah, you jumped off the question.
Yeah, you just like talking about other stuff.
Yeah, you know what?
Oh,
comic books. Yeah.
We've seen it. We've seen it.
Timeline.
Yeah, we've seen it. It's good, guys. Right? It's good.
Oh, sorry, timeline. Yeah. Isaac needs to think about the finish.
Yeah, but Rand, you've seen it. So it's good. It's good, right? We just have to tell them it's good, and then it's over. That's it. That's all we have to say. No, I was grimacing because time that you're putting. See what happens here? You're putting it on me to say when I'm gonna have time to finish editing it right now, where I'm setting up a toy
I know.
company. What do we
I know.
want to do first? Do we want to finish toys first,
Well,
or we want to finish the movie
the
first?
truth is, all that has to happen is we need to put a capper on the third episode, which is really, really fat right now and just needs to flow. And it's that easy. We want to put a capper on it. So what's the capper?
I mean, I think it's even more than that. I think that when it comes to what has been created, we're adding more to it. We're building more. We already are. We're going out and shooting more because
Yeah.
we reached the Steve Varner goal, so we're going down there in the new year and we're going to film more. And so this thing is just going to get richer and bigger as we go. So it's hard to nail it down, but I would say the hopeful is second quarter of 2025 because we are shooting more. So I think that's a realistic kind of goal to at least be able to do like the screener, which is the private screener, which I think pretty much every backer level got, right, Tyler? I think everybody got in at that like early rough cut screener, which is a great way for us to invite everybody into that process. And that'll be rough. That'll be like not polished, which is a difficult thing. And we are usually as filmmakers don't love giving access to anyone, like even people within the industry who should know what a rough cut is.
Is there a word for someone who's texting you constantly all caps as you're doing
It's
something,
called
like a
annoying.
backseat
It's
driver
a
type of
backseat driver.
situation?
Yeah, that's what's happening right now. And I'm trying to incorporate them without noting that it's happening. But it's like, Mark, you know what? If you want to say stuff, why don't you just come on the Zoom? Like it's just join the Zoom with the fifth person. It would be much easier than reading this
There
text.
was Pete Best before there was Ringo. And Stu
Yeah,
Sutcliffe was
basically.
also in the Beatles. So that's just something to think about. There's room for lots of Beatles.
Yeah.
Okay, this what Dogcade says, worth the wait for polished product. Here's what's going to take a long time. Getting the capper, like
Yep.
just the completion to make it pro and perfect. You could watch a rough, crazy, stupid version that would make us feel bad. The book is going to take a long time. It takes a long time. The figures, there's work to be done there. And as soon as timelines become obvious, we will share them. I have roughed out 13 chapters of a book in terms of text. I have all the Q&As all laid out and can just start putting them in, but there's so much curation and cultivation around that. The movie is a long series of episodes that is mostly done. There are pieces left to drop in, and those things that have to be dropped in are important enough that you don't want to get ahead. You don't want to release it and then later think, I wish that we had put that in there, right? So there's a whole set of things that sits on top that then comes very quickly once you get past that point. Soundtrack is under construction with
Yep.
Matt Hussey.
Yep.
I think what if people keep their eyes on this space, Harrison can start getting a little bit more news through us out there. We can get more news out there. Tyler will have more information, and there will be a lot of hopefully dominoes will start falling as soon as we get these initial chunks set up.
Yeah,
But it is
exactly.
a lot of pieces all moving at the same time. And then you hit a critical point where all of a sudden you begin to
Yeah.
reap the rewards. We are
And
not at the
and
reward phase.
exactly. And the truth is like there was some mistakes made when we launched the Kickstarter where it has a projected timeline of each item. It's like, when is this item likely to ship? There was a mistakes by me when we were putting together the headings. Some of them say 2025, some of them say 2024, 2026 or whatever. So that's literally was just error. But the truth is that what we want to do is keep everybody informed through stuff like this, through the updates, through the written updates that Tyler sends out and that the team sends out, that we will keep everybody informed as we go along. Yes, it's going to take a long time. We thank the people that actually are pointing that out, like it's polished work. Let's get this right. Let's not rush it. The bonus features is an enormous amount of collating and bringing together. Somebody actually, Evil Hobbit pointed out, are we going to get a chapter in the documentary of you guys doing a BTS roundtable? I mean, that's a great idea. The truth is, it's more not necessarily a chapter in the doc itself. There's the bonus content is likely where things like that will live, because that's an opportunity for us to even put out the behind the scenes stuff that we have. There is a whole 4-part documentary on us making the first one, let alone all of this.
We can bundle that together.
Yeah, we can bundle stuff like that. And so elements in the bonus features and the bonus content will continue to grow. And a lot of it will be commented by us in the sense that if I'm going to say, explore raw footage of Kevin and Peter or images or combine raw footage of, say, the Playmates meetings with Kevin and Peter and the design originals, I might come in and out as a narrator and comment on what it is that you're seeing. What are the lines being drawn here, so that it's not just a bunch of raw confusing things. Here is like some connective tissue there. So again, there's a lot of things to combine together. Then once we reach critical mass of being able to deliver, we don't want to ship things multiple times. We want this all to happen at the same time. So all your Blu-rays happen with your book, with your toys, and all that stuff together. So it has to kind of, all those pieces have to then domino together and land, and then out it goes to the world.
Harrison, do you see a couple other? Let's try and keep it under an hour. A couple more questions there going. Yeah. Okay, you got some?
Yeah, the comics question you were on before of if you could do the variant covers, what's an artist you each really wanted?
Well, we tried to set something up. So we did actually talk to a few different artists. We're fans of Ben Bishop. We like what Ben does. Of course, we have a Kevin and Peter piece that hasn't been used too much that we thought might be fun. We like Sarah Myers' stuff. We've talked to her. And so there are possibilities. There are different feels of turtles that we were trying to get the scope of. You get a very Archie-friendly turtle. You get a kind of a tougher turtle. You get a more Pete and Kevin turtle, right? You get that Last Ronin modern style. You get the ages of turtles that we're trying to reflect. I mean, Isaac's a huge fan of Richard Corbin's creepy turtles. So he probably wants to get some of those with their scary looks. I'm scared of those turtles. You know who I like? Remember Freddie, who did the Batman?
Freddie Williams.
Freddie Williams, thank you.
He's an awesome dude.
Yeah, and Kevin, he's one of Kevin's favorites. Kevin loved the way he did them. So that's the kind of thing you take into consideration. But I don't know if we can afford to do the variant comic. The IDW numbers were enormous, how many you would need to have to sell. So that was a stopper there.
They were just curious for shout out to people. Question from Awesome J. Who drew the artwork for the Kickstarter, the half Mirage, half movie Raphael?
Yeah, that was actually Isaac Elliott Fisher.
It's rough. It was a temporary one.
Go back, guy. If I've got my angles right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he has to say something mean about it. So go ahead.
Will there be chapter markers in the digital version of the doc?
Say that again, Tyler. I didn't catch it.
Will there be chapter markers?
I don't know. That's a technical one. I got to ask Mark, but he can't. Oh wait, Mark's not here.
Mark can't answer it.
Don't worry, they'll get a bunch of all caps. I've got that one written down to follow up.
He'll send us an all caps message, which I will then hold up to the screen so everybody can read the all caps message.
He says yes.
Are we getting a chapter in the documentary of you guys doing a BTS roundtable?
Yes, there will be. Look. Old
man Isaac.
An awesome menu. It says an awesome menu with chapters. It's going to be awesome.
Is anyone else is any other question we haven't hit yet? I'm just conscious of being too much more than an hour.
Have you? Is there a BTS roundtable in the doc?
Yeah, I think we actually we covered that actually. We were talking about that earlier, but doing that as a chapter thing.
Yeah. Like with us,
way to pay it
specifically.
Yeah. It is a great idea.
Would we have to be in the same room at the same time, like an actual?
I know. Isn't that hard to do?
Oh, you know what? Someone had asked who was the hardest person to interview for the documentary.
Yeah, hardest to get a hold of, specifically.
Hardest to get a hold of.
Yes.
We couldn't get Elias Koteas. We couldn't get him at all.
What we didn't. But
Well, we couldn't.
who is
You know
that
who?
who did we get that was the hardest?
I can tell you who was a hard interview, but not for a reason that they would think.
Which one?
Tom Gray. We interviewed him for 5 hours.
Oh man, we were
We
tired.
interviewed Tom Gray. I think it was more than 5 hours. And
That was a long one.
it was as long an interview as could ever be had. And no knock on, like, it wasn't a bad interview. We had a great afternoon with Tom, and Tom
Yeah.
was great to us, and great stories in general. But we were all soaked with sweat.
It was a long.
All of
long
us we
I
were
think
soaked with sweat.
some of the ones that you would have thought would be the hardest to get were the easiest. Like
Yeah.
like the Hensons were incredibly, like Brian Henson was incredibly easy to get.
That was incredible.
Yeah. Most of the voice cast were pretty easy. I think the toughest one of that would have been James Avery, but that was through the help of the other voice talent. I think Pat Fraley got us in touch with him. And you know, so it's a lot of detective work.
And how about this? Kevin and Peter, no problem. No
Yeah.
problem. Once we got past the initial sort of, we're not just fans trying to make a documentary so that we can meet our heroes, once they figured that out.
Yeah. Anyway, but I think we should wrap it up because I think we're running into a long over an hour here.
Yeah, Evil Hobbit has a good idea, and Ian Cherry likes your work, Isaac.
Oh, thank you.
Will the book cover look different? That's a good question.
And this is the thing, is that like most of the things we've been actually talking about, like with the toys and stuff and the book, and the art here, a lot of this is what we would call temp placeholders. Is going to be so much tighter. So technically speaking, it will likely look different. Well, quite frankly, the book that we've been showing is a mock-up. It won't necessarily even be that shape. We are still aligning which printers make the most sense when it comes to book printing.
Art-wise,
and where
I
to
would
even do that.
think, art-wise, we would probably do something like if you saw our Power of Grayskull, Isaac did a pretty great painting. We'd probably do something like that. We like that old school look and feel.
Well, the
We
truth
don't
is
want
that
it to look photoshopped and flat.
among the 20 million other things that I'm doing, the painting, I likely will do some sort of painting or art piece for I will be doing something for the Steve Barron signed poster that was part of the Kickstarter. So that maybe that ties in as another art piece we could use too. But that Power of Grayskull one took me 13 days. I don't know if I have 13 days to spare.
Not if you're going to give these people the action figures they so richly deserve.
Yeah, action figures and edit and the film and all that stuff. Yeah. And I don't know, raise 3 kids.
Kids are not. Wait, my kid is here.
Yeah.
Kids are important.
Yeah. Oh.
Kids are important.
Yeah.
Just before we wind it up, we haven't missed anything else. We haven't missed any questions.
There it is. Wow. Thanks, Mark. Good throwdown of the that one's covered up by a lot of text. There's a lot more painting than that. That was the tough thing with that painting.
Tyler, do you want to hit it right at the end?
I was just going to say really quick, Phil Kramer has a longer, more complicated question that we're going to follow up with email, and it'll be part of an update. It's a complicated. I saw that one. Yeah, I saw that. With some stuff like that's more technical, we have to do more in written. Yeah. So we need to have that figured out. But the short version is thank you all so much for coming. Make sure to comment, share, like, subscribe. All that stuff super helps. The plan is not for Turtles to be the last thing, and I know we're not talking about what comes next yet publicly, but there are discussions about that. So if you like documentaries, if you like nerdy stuff, and if you like really just getting way too into nostalgia stuff, there's more cool things coming.
And Hare, do you have anything to wind us up, or do you want to just take us home?
No, I just wanted to say thanks for everyone's continued support. And once again, if you are experiencing issues on the Kickstarter with the BackerKit, just send us a message, and maybe I would check it every week for a weekly update that either myself or Tyler or our other helper Amy will put out. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and thanks everyone for participating with your questions.
Later.